My lawyer costs more than your house, Judge. The words hung in the air like poison. I looked up from my bench here at Providence Municipal Court, and I saw a 28-year-old man in a $12,000 suit smirking at me like I was nothing. His name was Preston Vance. His watch cost more than most people make in a year, and he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. Let me back up. I am Judge Frank Caprio. I have sat on this bench for decades. I have seen thousands of cases. Rich people, poor people, good people who made mistakes, bad people who thought they were above the law. But what I was about to witness that Tuesday morning was something I will never forget. If you believe justice should be equal for everyone, you'll want to see what happens next. The bailiff called the case. Case 2026 TR 84721, The People versus Preston Vance, reckless driving, endangerment, and leaving the scene of an accident. I nodded. Good morning, Mr. Vance. Please step forward. But before he did, I saw the victim. Her name was Maria Santos. She was 42 years old. She worked 2 jobs, one as a school lunch lady, one as a weekend housekeeper. She stood there in a simple blue dress, her hands shaking slightly. She had a brace on her left wrist. Her face looked tired, not just from pain, from years of struggling to get by. Ms. Santos, I said gently, please have a seat. We will hear from you in a moment. She nodded and sat down. Her eyes stayed on the floor. Then Preston Vance walked in. He did not walk, he strutted, like he owned the place. His suit was charcoal gray, perfectly tailored. His shoes were Italian leather, polished to a mirror shine. His hair was slicked back with expensive gel, and behind him came his lawyer, a man in a 3-piece suit carrying a leather briefcase that probably cost more than my car. Preston did not look at Maria. He did not look at me with respect. He looked at me like I was a clerk at a store he was about to complain to. Mr. Vance, I said, keeping my voice calm, do you understand the charges against you? He shrugged. I understand that this is a waste of my time. I heard a few gasps from the gallery. The people sitting in the courtroom were shocked. I was not. Not yet. I see, I said. Well, let me explain why you are here. On the evening of January 14th, you were driving your car on Maple Street. You were going 60 miles per hour in a 25-mile-per-hour zone. You ran a red light. You hit Ms. Santos's car. She was stopped at that red light, waiting legally. You hit her so hard that her car spun around. And then, Mr. Vance, you drove away. You left her there, injured, alone. Do you remember that? He looked at his nails. I remember my car got a scratch. The gallery murmured. I held up my hand for silence. Miss Santos, I said, turning to her, can you tell me what happened that night? She stood slowly. Her voice was quiet but clear. I was driving home from my second job, Your Honor. It was almost 10 at night. I stopped at the red light. I was tired. I just wanted to get home to my daughter. Then I heard a loud noise. Everything spun. My head hit the window. When I opened my eyes, my wrist was hurting so bad. I looked around. The other car was gone. Her voice cracked. I sat there for 10 minutes before someone stopped to help me. I thought I was going to pass out. I thought maybe I was going to die and no one would know. I felt my chest tighten. And your injuries? Broken wrist, whiplash. I missed 3 weeks of work. I do not have health insurance, Your Honor. The bills are over $8,000. I do not know how I will pay. I looked at Preston Vance. He was scrolling on his phone. Mr. Vance, I said, my voice a little harder now. Put the phone away. He sighed like a teenager and slipped it into his pocket. Can we speed this up? I have a meeting at noon. His lawyer leaned over and whispered something. Preston waved him off. Mr. Vance, I said, this is a courtroom, not a coffee shop. You will show respect. He smiled, not a friendly smile, a cold one. Respect? Judge, do you know who I am? I know exactly who you are, I said. You are a defendant in my courtroom. I am the vice president of Vance Capital Holdings, he said, louder now. My family owns half the buildings in this city. I went to Yale. I drive a car worth more than most people make in 5 years, and I am telling you right now, this whole thing is beneath me." The courtroom was silent. I leaned forward. "Mr. Vance, everyone who comes before me is equal. It does not matter how much money you have. It does not matter where you went to school. What matters is what you did, and what you did was hit another human being and leave her on the side of the road like garbage." His face turned red. "I did not leave her like garbage. I left because I had somewhere to be." "You left," I said slowly, "because you did not care." He laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, I care, Judge. I care about my time. And this is wasting it." I took a breath. "Let's look at the evidence. Bailiff, please show Exhibit A." The screen behind me lit up. It showed a traffic camera photo. Preston's silver Porsche running the red light. The timestamp was clear. 9:47 p.m., January 14th. "This," I said, "shows you running the light. 63 miles per hour in a 25 zone. Do you deny this?" He shrugged. "I might have been going a little fast." "A little fast," I repeated. "You were going more than twice the speed limit." "I am a good driver," he said. "I have never had an accident before." "You had one that night," I said. His lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, my client is willing to pay a fine and move on. We believe this can be resolved quickly." "Sit down, counselor," I said. "We are not done." I nodded to the bailiff again. "Exhibit B." The screen changed. It showed text messages from Preston's phone. The police had pulled his records after the accident. "These messages," I said, "were sent by you at 9:51 p.m., 4 minutes after you hit Ms. Santos. You texted your friend, and I quote, 'Just clipped some junker on Maple, not stopping. Got drinks waiting.'" The courtroom erupted. People were shaking their heads. Someone said, "Unbelievable." Preston's face stayed blank. "That was taken out of context." "Out of context?" I said. "You admitted in writing that you hit her car and chose not to stop." "I did not think it was serious," he said. "You did not think," I said, my voice rising slightly, "or you did not care." He rolled his eyes. "Look, Judge, I will write her a check right now. 10 grand, 20, whatever. Can we end this?" I stared at him. "You think you can buy your way out of this?" "I buy my way out of everything," he said. Then he smiled again, that same cold, arrogant smile. "Money talks, Judge, and I have a lot of it." I felt my jaw tighten. "Mr. Vance, this is your last warning. You are in a court of law. You will show respect, or you will face consequences." He leaned back in his chair. "Respect. You want me to respect this?" He waved his hand around the courtroom. "This sad little room, this sad little case. Judge, I have lawyers who could run circles around this whole building." His lawyer grabbed his arm. "Preston, stop talking." But Preston pulled away. He stood up. He pointed at Maria. "And her? You want me to feel bad for her? She drives a car that is barely running. She probably does not even have good insurance. People like her are why people like me have to pay so much in taxes." The courtroom exploded. People were yelling. The bailiff stepped forward. I banged my gavel 3 times. "Order," I shouted. "Order in this court." The room went quiet, but Preston was not done. He turned to me. His face was red now. His voice was loud, and then he said it. "You know what, Judge? I do not have to stand here and listen to this. My lawyer costs more than your house. My watch costs more than your car. I have more money in my wallet right now than you will see in a year. So why don't you just find me whatever pathetic amount you were going to find me and let me get on with my life?" 10 seconds of silence. I am not exaggerating. 10 full seconds. No one moved. No one breathed. Then the gallery erupted. People were shouting. Someone yelled, "Throw him in jail!" Another person said, "Who does he think he is?" The bailiff moved closer to Preston. His lawyer put his head in his hands. And me? I stared at Preston Vance. I felt something I rarely feel on this bench. Not anger, not shock, something deeper. Disgust. I let the noise die down naturally. Then I spoke. "Mr. Vance," I said quietly, "sit down." He hesitated, then he sat. "You just made a very serious mistake," I said. "You see, Preston, I have been a judge for a very long time. I have seen people cry in this courtroom. I have seen people beg for mercy. I have seen people take responsibility for what they did. And I have seen people like you. People who think that money makes them better than everyone else. People who think that wealth means they do not have to follow the same rules as the rest of us." I paused. I looked at Maria. She was crying silently. "Let me tell you something about Ms. Santos," I said. "She works 2 jobs. She works 10-hour days. She comes home to her daughter and helps her with homework. She packs lunches. She pays her bills. She does not have a fancy car. She does not have a fancy house. But she has something you do not have, Preston. She has dignity." Preston looked away. "And you," I continued, "you have money. You have expensive clothes. You have a law degree from Yale. But what you do not have is respect. Not for her, not for this court, not for the law, and definitely not for yourself." I leaned forward. "You said your lawyer costs more than my house. Maybe he does. But let me ask you something, Preston. How much does your conscience cost? How much do you pay to sleep at night knowing you left a woman injured on the side of the road? How much do you pay to look at yourself in the mirror and feel good about who you are?" He did not answer. "You said people like her are why people like you pay taxes. Let me correct you. People like her are the reason this country works. She feeds children at a school. She cleans homes so families can come back to a nice place. She contributes. She matters. And you run red lights. You hit people. You run away. You mock the system. What exactly do you contribute, Preston, besides arrogance?" The courtroom was silent now. Everyone was listening. "You texted your friend that you clipped some junker. That junker was Miss Santos's car. The car she saved for 2 years to buy. The car she uses to get to work, to get her daughter to school. And you called it a junker. You dehumanized her. You treated her like she was nothing." I paused. "But she is not nothing, Preston. She is everything. She is what makes this community strong, and you are what makes it weak." I looked at the bailiff, then back at Preston. "Stand up," I said. He stood. His confidence was gone now. His face was pale. "Preston Vance," I said, "I find you guilty of reckless driving, endangerment, leaving the scene of an accident, and contempt of court." He opened his mouth. I held up my hand. "Here is your sentence, and I want you to listen very carefully." I looked down at my notes. "First, you will pay a fine of $25,000. 15,000 will go to Ms. Santos to cover her medical bills and lost wages. The remaining 10,000 will go to a fund for hit-and-run victims in this city." His lawyer started to object. I cut him off. "Second, your driver's license is suspended for 1 year. You will not drive, not your Porsche, not any car. If you are caught driving, you will face jail time." Preston's face turned red again. "Third, you will perform 500 hours of community service, not at some charity gala where you shake hands and take photos, real service. You will work at Providence Community Kitchen. You will serve meals to people who are struggling, people like Ms. Santos. You will work every Saturday and Sunday for the next 6 months, 8 hours each day. You will show up on time. You will wear an apron. You will serve food. You will clean tables. You will wash dishes. And you will do it with a smile." I paused. "Fourth, you will write a handwritten apology letter to Ms. Santos, not typed, handwritten, 2 pages minimum. You will explain what you did wrong. You will explain what you have learned. And you will read it out loud to this court in 30 days. His jaw dropped. "Fifth, you will create a 2-minute public service announcement about the dangers of reckless driving and hit-and-runs. It will be shown at every high school in Providence. Your face will be on it. Your name will be on it. And you will tell students not to make the same mistake you made." I took a breath. "And sixth, for your contempt of court, you will spend the next 72 hours in county jail. Bailiff, take him into custody." The courtroom erupted again, but this time it was different. People were clapping. Preston's face went white. "You cannot be serious." I am completely serious, I said. Bailiff. The bailiff stepped forward. He pulled out handcuffs. Preston looked at his lawyer, panic in his eyes. Do something, Preston yelled. His lawyer stood. Your Honor, please, this is excessive. This is justice, I said. Mr. Vance had multiple opportunities to show respect, to show remorse, to show basic human decency. He chose arrogance instead. Now he will face the consequences. The bailiff put the handcuffs on Preston's wrists. The sound of the metal clicking shut echoed through the courtroom. Preston looked at me one last time. This is not over, he said. Yes, it is, I said. Take him away. The bailiff led him out. Preston walked with his head down, the expensive suit, the perfect hair. None of it mattered now. The room stayed silent until the door closed behind him. Then I turned to Maria. Ms. Santos, I said gently, I am deeply sorry for what you went through. No one should ever be treated the way he treated you. I hope this brings you some measure of justice. She stood. Tears were running down her face. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you so much. You do not need to thank me, I said. You deserve respect, you deserve dignity, and you deserve to feel safe on the road. She nodded and sat back down. I looked out at the gallery. This case is closed. Court is adjourned. I banged the gavel once. 30 days later, Preston Vance came back to my courtroom. He looked different. His suit was simpler. His hair was not slicked back. He did not strut. He walked carefully, like someone who had learned a hard lesson. He stood before me and unfolded 2 handwritten pages. Ms. Santos, he read, his voice shaking. I am sorry. I am sorry for hitting your car. I am sorry for leaving you there. I am sorry for calling your car a junker. I am sorry for treating you like you did not matter. You do matter. You matter more than I ever did. I was arrogant. I was cruel. I was wrong. I have spent the last month serving meals to people who remind me of you, people who work hard, people who struggle, people who deserve better. I have learned that money does not make me better than anyone. It just makes me luckier, and I wasted that luck by being selfish. I hope one day you can forgive me. I do not deserve it, but I hope for it anyway. Sincerely, Preston Vance. When he finished, the room was silent. Maria stood up. She walked over to him, and she did something I did not expect. She shook his hand. I forgive you, she said quietly. Preston broke down. Right there in my courtroom, he cried like a child. I let him cry for a moment. Then I spoke. Mr. Vance, you have completed your letter. You have 472 hours of community service left. You have a PSA to film, and you have a long road ahead of you. But today, you took the first step. You took responsibility. That is all I ask. He nodded. Thank you, Your Honor. Do not thank me, I said. Thank Ms. Santos. She is the one who showed you grace. He looked at her. Thank you, he whispered. She nodded and walked back to her seat. I banged the gavel. Case closed. After everyone left, I sat alone in my courtroom. I thought about Preston Vance. I thought about Maria Santos. I thought about justice. Justice is not just about punishment. It is about balance. It is about making sure everyone is treated fairly, rich or poor, powerful or weak, everyone. Preston Vance thought his money made him untouchable. But in my courtroom, money does not buy you anything except a very expensive lesson. Maria Santos thought no one would care about her. But I cared. The law cared. And in the end, that made all the difference. I closed my folder. I stood up. And I walked out of my courtroom knowing that today, justice was served. Because in the end, we are all equal under the law, no matter how much our lawyers cost.